But the thing I was going to ask you is when I pulled up, I was playing the Chili Peppers track, White Braids and Pillow Chairs from that, I guess not you guys did another one, but from the Unlimited
Same
Love.
set.
Yeah,
we
Unlimited,
recorded those
that
all
whole
at once.
thing. I think it's one of the best things they've ever done. And in particular, I think the back half of the second record, which isn't the stuff, that makes the radio, and it's not even what they've been playing out in tours, and I've seen everything, but like those tracks, like It's Only Natural and White Braids and Pillow Chairs and She's a Lover and Let 'Em Cry, they're in such a fucking groove in that. Like, I went down on that like a kid with the first U2 record, or with or like the Clash, I was listening to it over and over and over again. And, I've been friends with those guys a long, long time. I think they're playing at a level of musicianship. And I think Anthony wrote that song when I was playing. I think it's like one of the best songs he's ever written. It's just unbelievable. Like, there's just not a lot of people who've been making music together for over 30 years who still, in my opinion, find that. It's just great. But I have this kind of theory that in part, it's because John stops.
I think so too.
It's crazy to think about, but it's relevant to this conversation to me, not because you've worked with them or anything, but because to me, like in the culture that we're in, if you say out loud, you say like, oh, the first time John like went out of that band for health reasons and everything, right? Mm-hmm. Came back in. But they do like that whole run of great records that you guys did, like, Californication and By the Way and Stadium Arcade and these things. But between that and now, like, it's like over 16 years. It's like 16 or 17 years between that and John playing with them again, And in our culture and in our minds even, if you say the sentences out loud of like, who would quit playing with the Chili Peppers? Like, or like, who would give that up, right? Like, most people would reflexively go, no way, right? And yet, to me, I really feel like if they didn't, it wouldn't be the same. I don't think you could
There's
continue
definitely a feeling of everyone has a tremendous amount of gratitude that they have it now.
Right.
And that might not have been the case if you had it all the time.
Yeah.
When something is gone and comes back, it's that much sweeter.
Yeah, you treat it precious. But it's
you
also
don't take it for granted.
Yeah. And it's funny, they play like them, but I also have to say, to me, I don't know if you've, musically, developmentally, they're playing like jazz musicians on that record. Like they're playing Chad too. I mean, like, hey,
they're the best musicians.
He's playing drum.
They're the best musicians, and Anthony, from the beginning till now, has just continually gotten better and better and better.
It's funny, I asked Anthony, I wrote Anthony about that song, White Braids, which you're never going to hear on the radio, right?
It's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece of writing, and John's not even playing. I mean, John's playing this beautiful, like Les Paul, like rhythm fill. You know what I mean? Just these. I mean, I sat there trying to work those chords out because it's just this gorgeous. And I asked him. I was like, I wrote him. I said, I think that's like one of the best songs you've ever written. And he said, what's really weird is he said I saw the scene of that. I saw those two people in a cafe like 20 years ago, and I wrote it down. Like, he said, I've been sitting, the image of this couple.
Amazing.
Which I love too, because I think like did you ever read, I think I can't remember what it's in one of Rilke's, the Austrian poet's letters. He says, said like, to a real artist, 10 years is nothing, gestation is everything. I think about that a lot. I think like, but it's something that I really admire about, I don't even know John as well as I know Flea and Anthony, but I really admire that, the courage to live a life and take a break from an identity. It's really, really hard to do.
Absolutely. Let's listen to that song. So nice.
Yeah, it's such a romantic song. There's like so much longing in it and dreaming of connection. It's just a great. it's a beauty. I really love it. But it's funny. You were in your book. I like the idea you had that like there's people are making themselves antennas and conducting things down. They could come through different people, but they come through. It's really weird. Like I think there's lots of. I mean, I play guitar, not great, but I love guitar. I really love the instrument, and I just I'm in music. I love lots of bands, and you identify or you relate to things, but. There's such a funny thing, and John, to me, John is like one of the all-time, for me, John sits in this really specific, like Hendrix and Prince and John, for me, they play the same way. There's a lightness of touch, there's a flickeriness to it, but it's really wild. The best way I can put it is, like when I'm listening to this record, like I was listening to It's Only Natural when I was coming out here, sometimes the path of the notes that a certain person finds land in you and they're right.
Yeah.
They're just right.
Yeah.
There's lots of people I listen to and I'm like, they're great, that's great, whatever. I can't explain the level of satisfaction my brain gets out of like where John puts notes. Mm-hmm. They're like, to me, they're like perfect. And I kind of get that sensation you're talking about in the book where I'm just like, why am I, some other people might not feel that. And it relates to the Mellows Brooklyn thing. I get really thrown off if I feel like a note or a syncopation or something lands in the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A rhyme or a thing.
Yeah.
I think that is such a strange aspect of the brain that something in you is saying, like, it's not language, it's not logic, it's not anything, but your brain is saying that's in the right place.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, we don't know why, but you really can feel it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to all music. I've recently come to this, like, it really is just the timing, the little timing between the notes. That's where all the energy lies.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition, the space.
The way these guys are laying this, it's also the way people lay space over each other. Like someone makes space and someone else is inside
pushing,
that space.
someone's pulling.
Right. And on this group of tracks that I like, one of the things I love so much is it's like this inversion, because Flea's playing a lot of melodic complexity around spaces John's making with some very simple rhythmic things. There's a big inversion going on of a lot of what you associate with like bass and guitar, Mm-hmm. But I just find the way that, I have to be honest, like the older I get, the more I envy music as a form of expression. I like what I like the things that I've gotten to work on.
I think also maybe because it's not work for you. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that it isn't work.
It's true.
You get to enjoy it in a different way.
Yes. And look, I know musicians spend an enormous amount of time on the math to get to the place where it becomes not math, right? Because there's mathematics in music, there's patterns, mm-hmm. and musicians can get very analytic and wonky also to create a thing that helps the rest of us get out into the the rhythm and vibration stuff. But there is something really enviable too about the autonomy that's in music. Like I feel this with like Tom and Johnny and these guys. I stopped in to see Tom and Johnny were in the studio at Abbey Road late, and I went in and I was just watching them. It's like these guys have been just like Flea and Anthony. They've been together since high school, and they're still sitting on the floor, on the parquet floor in Studio 2 in Abbey Road, just playing, literally figuring shit out. And they don't have to get anybody's permission to do it. They don't have to get anybody's money to do it. They don't have to ask anybody to do anything. They can just go and do it. And there's a cataclysmic gulf between that freedom and the form that I've worked in more, where the amount of headache, I love that I can sit down and write a thing, right? And if it ended there, that would be great. But the lack of autonomy, not just as an actor, like film in general.
No, the number of people involved.
Involved.
It's such a big production.
It's an assault on your desire to have that kind of sacred space, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't facilitate, and in some cases, it doesn't even permit the creation of a sacred space. And I find that really enviable. And the longer I'm friends with people like and Fleet, we've been friends a long time. Like, he's a monk. I mean, it's like, I envy the purity. I really envy the purity of the fact that, like, lots of times I pop across to his house and he's in the middle of a bass lesson.
Yeah.
A bass lesson.
Yes.
He still takes lessons.
Yes.
With his jazz teacher, and he's practicing and practicing. Those guys have a devotional relationship.